Am I the a-hole for favoring one niece over my other nieces and nephews? AITA550 female have a niece, 6, from my older sister, 32. I heard through the family vine my sister was pregnant, so I reached out to her to congratulate her, but she didn't seem at all interested in her pregnancy. Then after she gave birth, she signed over my niece to the father's side of the family and moved on with her life, later getting engaged and having 3 kids with another guy. Almost a year after the birth, I found out from another relative that she gave her up because she didn't like the way she looked. For reference, she has very dark complexion, brown eyes, and type 4 hair. We are white. And told her father, you either take her before I leave the hospital or she goes into the system. When I confronted my sister about it, she said that she wasn't what she was looking for in a mixed baby, and that I should mind my business because she's not mine. I tried to ask her information about father's side, as I wanted to reach out to see if it was okay to be part of her life. No one would tell me anything. I have in the past reached out to her about my other nieces and nephews to be part of their lives, but she didn't seem too interested either. Then during the 2020 lockdown, I felt it was the perfect time to look for my niece. I found her aunt on social media. I messaged her explaining who I was and had asked if it was okay if I could be a part of my niece's life. She contacted her father and grandmother to set up a time to talk. And after some talking, they agreed I could, but only after some time of getting to know me, as they didn't want my niece getting attached, and I bounced later on, leaving her wondering where I went. After 2 weeks of getting to know the family, they introduced me to my niece, and we instantly bonded. We talk almost every day, and she calls me Titi. I'm on good terms with her whole side of the family. Her grandmother says she appreciates all the effort I put into being a part of her life, and can see how much my niece adores me. This year my niece has started school, so I bought her a whole bunch of clothes and school supplies. Her aunt posted pictures and videos of the gift box in IG, so this is where we currently are. My sister has fake profile and saw the posts, and she's saying I'm selfish for contacting them when she told me not to. How could I be favoring my niece over my other nieces/nephews? I reminded her I've tried countless times to reach out to her and build a relationship with them, but she always shuts me down. She said that if she knew I had money to spend like that on the kids, then she would have been okay with it. She wanted my niece's info so she could reach out to her, and I told her it wasn't my place to give it to her and I'd have to ask. She said, but I'm her mommy. I admit I got mad and cussed her out for abandoning my niece because of how she looked. She told my whole family I'm trying to replace her and steal her life, and my family started calling me, texting me, telling me I'm selfish for choosing her over the other kids. Now for the top comments. Not today home, but you should definitely tell your niece's father and aunt that she's stalking them. It's actually very sweet of you to help out a single dad with back to school. You could have easily followed your family's lead in abandoning your niece for racist and colorist reasons. Instead, you built a relationship with the family your niece out of love. I definitely have a lot of respect for you. I've already reached out to her family about the situation. They thanked me for not giving out their information, and all of the relatives have privated their accounts. The sister thinks it's weird she stalks her account, but couldn't reach out to them herself about my niece. They say that my family isn't a reflection on me and that I can continue to have a relationship with her, which I'm looking forward to. I do feel bad though that my family will never able to see the value of my niece like I do. Thank you very much for the support. Glad to hear. It's your family's loss. Everyone in your family could have told your sister to do the right thing, or at least let her know how wrong she is for abandoning her baby because she didn't look like how she thought she would, whatever that's supposed to mean. Everyone in your family encouraged your sister's bad behavior while trying to shame you for doing the right thing. I say screw them, and keep being your amazing self. Your sister gave up her rights to the baby. This means she has given up all rights as to who is involved in the baby's life. You aren't stealing her life. She willingly gave it away. Not stay home. Plus, it's not like Opie and the father are in a relationship. She took on the role of an aunt, not mother. Not stay home. This is summed up in one sentence you wrote. She said if she knew I had money to spend like that on the kids, then she would have been okay with it. Unfortunately, your other nieces and nephews come with your sister attached, and you will always be viewed as a cash cow. Relationships are individual. You don't have to have the same relationship with all of your relations. Humans have preferences. Things for you to consider. 1. Your sister gave up any rights to that child. That little girl is a stranger to her. She has nothing to do with her, so your relationship with her is none of her business. She doesn't get a say or an opinion. 2. Why is your sister, who was so adamant about not having a relationship with her daughter, suddenly interested? What is suddenly in it for her? 3. You absolutely don't have the moral right to hand out your niece's contact information. Your sister lost the right to that information when she gave her up, legally, based on her looks, morally. 4. Your sister has blocked you from having a relationship with her nieces and nephews until there was some money in it. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for selling my husband's Xbox to buy back the antique tea set that he sold without consent? Me, female 33, and my husband, male 31, have been struggling with money lately. I work at a hair salon while he works at a gas station. Basically have minimum wages that barely pay rent and other expenses. We do not have any savings, nor do we have the ability to save money. It's been like this for years. Recently I found out that the antique tea set that my grandmother gifted me was gone. My husband admitted selling it for $300+ to be able to buy a gaming chair for his nephew who's a recovering cancer patient. I didn't take it well, and I told him this tea set was important to me and I wasn't willing to let it go that easily. Now if he was selling it to pay off debts or rent, then maybe, but a gaming chair? No, not okay. He asked me to allow him to explain and said that A, I don't use this tea set like ever, so it's just sitting in the cabinet. B, his nephew has gone through so much and wanted a gaming chair badly, and he promised to award him for defeating cancer. And C, he said he will be giving me money to buy a better, modern tea set. But I refused to accept that it was gone and let go of it. So I contacted the buyer, and he told me I had to pay $450 to get it back, which was unfair. But since he was barely convinced to let me have it back, then I need to come up with the money. I sold the only thing my husband had that was worth money, which was his Xbox. I got $400 and borrowed the $50 from my sister, paid off the buyer, and he brought back the tea set. My husband found out and went off asking how I could do this to him. He asked him to hear me out, then explained that I sold the Xbox since he was the one who gave away my antique tea set, so he was responsible for getting it back. He said he promised to save money for me to get a better set, but I insisted I wanted my grandmother's tea set and nothing else, even if it's worth less because the sentimental value is worth a lot to me. He blew up calling me childish and that I shouldn't have sold his Xbox, the only thing keeping him entertained in these awful times. He started sulking ever since, and kept reminding me that he was the one with the short end of the stick, since I got my precious tea set back. The buyer earned $150, but he lost his Xbox forever. He's refusing to talk to me, calling me evil with zero consideration for how depressed and upset he is feeling. Am I the a-hole for how I returned my antique tea set? I was gonna say 2 wrong things don't make it right, but then I read he did this to fulfill a promise he made to buy someone a gaming chair. He wrote a check he couldn't cash, and he should have sold his items to raise the money needed for the gaming chair. Selling your tea set was heartless. Saving up, which you state you can't do anyway, to buy you a modern one is pointless because the original set has sentimentality. I'm sure he is sulking, but he created this mess. It wouldn't be fair for you to be without an item of yours. Not stay home, but he's not gonna stop pouting for a long time. Not stay home. He stole a valuable item which you endeared in order to buy a mega expensive gift. It belonged to your deceased grandma, and it's irreplaceable and sentimental to you. It was yours and you reclaimed it. It wasn't the necessary solution to sell his Xbox, but you need 2 for tango, and it seems like the viable way to gather the money. Not stay home. He thinks his stuff is more valuable to him. Maybe he should realize things have consequences. I think so, which is hurtful and frustrating. Not stay home, but you should consider getting out of this situation, like now. Not only does your husband not respect your property, but he also doesn't seem to have much financial sense. He could buy a cheap gaming chair for less than $100. He didn't need to spend $300+ in one, no matter the reason. A sizable number of Americans couldn't put their hands on $400 in an emergency, and your husband sounds like he's in that group. That kind of money is a rainy day fund, especially when you're not making that kind of money to quickly recoup it. Your husband needs to get his financial priorities in order quickly, or you're always going to be fighting this battle with him. And apparently having time to play the Xbox. He could spend the time to find a better job. But hey, that's just me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying for grad school for my sister? My sister, 22, and I, 26, female, lost our mother when she was 14 and I was 18. It was a difficult time, but eventually we pulled ourselves together and I stepped into the guardian role. because at the time my father was incapable of caring for us. I deferred my admission, left my flat share, and moved back home. I worked a lot of jobs, tutored a lot, and we survived. When I left uni, I got a great job that paid very well, and we stopped struggling. I paid for my sister's undergrad schooling, housing, because she didn't want to live at home. I made sure she had food and that she never ran out of money. She graduated recently and expressed interest in continuing her education. I told her that I would not be paying for grad school. At first, she thought I was joking. But when I told her that I was not, she got mad because I make a lot of money. Said that if I were a good sister, then I would have no problem paying for her. I told her that I'd been a good sister for almost 9 years, and I'd gone above and beyond for her, and anything from this point on was on her. She has not spoken to me since we had the conversation. Am I the a-hole? Somewhere along the line, your sister has lost track of the fact that everything that you've done for her so far has been a gift. You didn't have to move back home when your mom died. You didn't have to assume a guardian role, and you didn't have to put her through college. You did these things out of generosity and love. However, at some point you have to allow yourself to live for yourself, and she has to learn to stand on her own 2 feet. Not stay home. And hopefully when your sister finishes her temper tantrum, she'll realize that as well. And at a great cost to herself as well. Opie, what you did was incredibly selfless. Your sister knows this. She'll come around. Not stay home. Your sister is entitled. Most people don't have their undergraduate school paid for by their siblings, and certainly not pay for living expenses. I suspect a paying her own way would do her some good. Not stay home, my friend. Very few parents pay for grad school. You either incur the debt or work, or get scholarships. If she doesn't speak to you over this, she absolutely needs to get a job and see what the real world holds for her. She's beyond entitled. Hell, a decent percentage of parents don't pay for undergrad either, so their kids have to go to work, debt, and/or scholarship route for a bachelor's degree. Plus, a bachelor is required for many non-trade, non-retail, non-food service job, so having one without any debt is a huge advantage among her peers. Not stay home. You absolutely stepped up. But unless you are ridiculously wealthy, and I'm not talking can you pay your bills on time and enjoy a few vacations a year wealthy, I'm talking has a private jet that you just keep available for your use 24/7 with pilot on standby pay wealthy. That is a ridiculous amount of money to even ask another adult to spend on you. And if you are ridiculously wealthy, she's an adult now, and it's completely appropriate for you to just say no. I am not ridiculously wealthy. I just didn't want her to struggle any more than she had to, and she apparently thinks that means that any struggle isn't acceptable. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole if I want to go on a trip against my wife's wishes? So I, 27 male, have been married to V, 27 female, for 5 years, and we have a 3-year-old daughter. My wife goes with her girlfriends for a trip every year to exotic and beautiful places. This year, my guy friends have planned to go for a 2-week vacation to Europe. We usually don't go on trips, and I haven't gone on one ever since I started dating, except for 2 to 3 days of camping trips. So I told my wife that I want to go on vacation this time, as I haven't gone on one for the past 5 years. She said no, because she doesn't want to take care of our daughter all alone, and that her work has been a lot more stressful lately. Also, she wanted us to go to Europe on our 5th year anniversary. So I reminded her of all the times of taking care of our daughter all alone when she wanted a vacation or a break. She said that it's my duty to take care of our daughter, and that I shouldn't be complaining. I told her that I'm not complaining, but it's only fair that she takes care of the kid when I go on a vacation too. Now she's mad at me because I want to go on a trip to Europe where she wanted us to go together on our 5th year anniversary, as well as because she doesn't want the baby care to be dumped all on her for 2 weeks. Am I the a-hole? Edit. She goes on trips that are about 1 to 3 weeks long depending on the location. As for childcare, split. I used to do the dirty diapers at night after she did midnight feedings. However, she no longer breastfeeds since our daughter is older. We just do alternate nights since it's bottle feeding. We alternate bath times. My wife has afternoon shift, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., so she does childcare in the mornings. I have a morning shift, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., so I did childcare after I get back home. My wife leaves our daughter with a nanny/grandparents at 11, and I pick her up at 3 while coming back home. When one of us goes on a vacation, daughter stays with parents for the shift timings. And after the shift, the person at home brings daughter back and take care of daughter until next day's shift start. Anyway, we take family trips over the weekend or week-long trips. She left me with a baby 8 months after her birth and went to Japan. Not day haul because of the double standard. If she gets 1 to 3 weeks every year to have a girls' trip with her friends, you should absolutely be able to get 2 weeks to go on a vacation with friends once in a 5-year period. But there does need to be some sorting out of logistics. Can a family member help your wife out with your daughter while you're gone, for example? Did I read that wrong? Or are they still bottle feeding a 3-year-old in the middle of the night? I know it's not directly related to the question, but that will mess a kid's teeth up badly. There are 0 reasons a 3-year-old would need to eat in the middle of the night, and that child should be completely off the bottle. Right? Not gonna lie, I could barely read everything after that. My 14-month-old is off a bottle completely. But this 3-year-old is still drinking out of a bottle in the middle of the night? That's a bit alarming. Not day home. There is a huge double standard going on that you need to sit your wife down and look at. So it's all good for you to be the babysitter when she wants to go on a play date with her girlfriends for a few weeks. But how if you want to go on your own vacation? That's not fair. That's her deciding that the only one who gets to have solo fun is her, and her being controlling. Not day home. When couples decide to vacation separately, then they need to make things equal. She gets 2 weeks, you get 2 weeks. This doesn't preclude taking family vacations or vacations together. Besides, Europe is a pretty big place, and you don't have to go to the same place for your 5-year anniversary vacation. That's what I was thinking. Europe isn't a small spot. You could spend 2 weeks in one county or a day here and there over multiple countries, and still have plenty to see when you go back.